is that one guy does not concede when he loses.
The best indication of Donald Trump's tendency to refuse to concede is the result of the 2020 U.S. presidential elections. Bill Maher interviewed Kellyanne Conway, a former senior counselor and Fox News reporter for Donald Trump, for his port. The topic of discussion was how the former president is comparable to Joe Biden, and Bill Maher generally made fun of Trump and Miss Conway for being bitter losers. The topic of discussion began with a fascinating anecdote from late April 2024, during which Donald Trump, the criminal defendant in the hush money case, was seen to be closing his eyes in court. This attracted national attention. On March 2, 2024, the former president clarified on Truth Social's social media site that he was indeed paying close attention and not dozing off.
Reports about Trump napping in court mean he lacks the stamina to be president again. I know he's not napping. It's fake news. Well, he says he's just resting his eyes. He's just taking it all in. What do you think, Kellyanne?
I'm bored, so probably he is sitting there. I'm bored just reading the clips every day. I think that, look, the media who covers him never thinks that their job is to get the story. They think their job is to get Trump. We've been living with this for 10 straight years.
Be in court, since it's allegedly prohibited to provide money to an adult film celebrity, which carries a jail sentence. This seems like a made-up explanation for someone who fainted, knowing full well that this would be his only chance to sleep well outside of prison. Kellyanne Conway continued to defend Donald Trump's nap schedule, saying that he was being misrepresented by the media. But weren't they just showing a picture of the former president with his eyes closed, implying that he had dozed off? In my opinion, there isn't any treachery here because Miss Conway keeps adding ridiculous details to make the former president seem like the victim.
I think that's less important than all the polls that show people don't think Joe Biden's got the energy, agility, acuity. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. That probably Joe Biden's voters are not for Trump more than for Biden. I don't think there's a single hidden Joe Biden voter in this country. I think there are millions of hidden Trump voters in this country.
Hidden Trump adherents? Yes, but not in my opinion. It is true that some Americans are growing less trusting of Joe Biden as he gets older, according to recent polls. But this does not mean that millions of unreported Trump supporters will back him all the way to the presidency. Maher asked the same question, to which Ms. Conway gave, at most, a vague response.
Are they hiding?
Because they don't want to argue with people in their friends and family circle. Trump derangement syndrome is real. No therapeutic, no vaccine. It makes people otherwise reasonable, honest people of integrity and logic do and say absolutely crazy batshit things. And so people don't want to feel that every night is Thanksgiving with the in-laws. That's why your vote is private. And just as I said in 2016, there are undercover hidden Trump voters, and people said on election day they'll still be hidden. There wasn't a single hidden Hillary vote in the whole country. They were out and about. She had would-be cabinet members buying houses in D.C. I know that because I went and looked at one when I needed to buy a house in D.C. since she lost.
It is false to refer to this as Trump derangement syndrome. The multiple issues the former president is embroiled in, and more importantly, the criminal trial in which he is currently defending himself, are the only things that matter. To make matters worse, the May 4th, 2024 court verdict in the Trump election involvement case stipulates that the president faces imprisonment if he disobeys his gag order. But Ms. Conway was clearly trying to skirt the subject by attacking President Joe Biden's age and making long-winded, inane comments about Trump.
Look at the polls. People think Joe Biden is not up to the job, whether it's confidence in his competence or just the sheer energy to move from point A to point B. I think it's weird that he shakes hands with the air, never seems to know what's going on and where he's going. I think his family should step in and say, why don't we enjoy the last years of your life, which I hope are 30 more for him, God bless him. But why don't we enjoy those, not in the Oval Office with your fingers on the nuclear codes, but maybe in Rehoboth where he spends a lot of time anyway.
Bill Maher calmly listened to the very long speech before launching into a forceful rejoinder that left Ms. Conway and Trump looking completely ashamed. But before he could say anything further, Ms. Conway interrupted to take Bill Maher out of the discussion.
You know, I could show a video right now. We
see them all day long. Trump is all day long. Trump is everybody's adjective, verb, noun in every sentence.
Could I get 3 words into that sentence?
I'll make it. Ta-da! Oh.
You had a long oration there. I'm just gonna...
Why wouldn't she let Bill complete it? I think everyone knows the answer to this one. But for those who don't, let's just say that defending Donald Trump is a difficult chore, especially in light of the current criminal investigation against him. But Bill Maher persisted in his resolve, and he went on to make fun of Donald Trump.
I could put together, and people have, a video of Trump looking absolutely just as senile and doing crazy senile. And of course, Joe Biden is not actually crazy. Your guy is actually crazy. He has a
Ms. Conway's response demonstrates that, unlike what other people may think, the blind MAGA followers will continue to march in support of Trump. But Bill isn't going to stop there. Though I may not always agree with Bill, there are many who do take him seriously. These individuals may be insane MAGA devotees, but they are still people. Bill is entirely accurate if he is talking about a rational, educated, and sane person. After Ms. Conway's long stay, Bill Maher had his chance, and he really went above and beyond. Nobody thinks Donald Trump is a sincere person.
But as for policy, you can't argue with the facts. You can't argue that 2019 we had the highest wage per household and the lowest poverty rate in modern history. I mean, things were going well. The trade deals, the border was more secure. I mean, these things matter to people.
The biggest fact in the last 3 elections, and in how many in the future, I don't know, is that one guy does not concede when he loses.
Then, not too long afterward, Bill Maher requested that Ms. Conway communicate with Donald Trump on his behalf. I promise the message was spot on.
Man, tell him to be a man. That's what men do. You ever watch the end of a football game? They fight like hell, and the coaches, they walk across the field and they shake hands. They don't want to do it. It hurts like hell, and they do it.
It's a good message.
If he's the first guy who just won't do it.
That's precisely what's needed. If Donald Trump loses, it may just indicate that the people of America democratically selected the other person to govern them. But as we have all seen, Trump responds badly to his loss in 2020 and the ensuing Capitol onslaught. Kellyanne Conway tried to send the same message to the Democrats, like a loyal Republican and MAGA fan, but it was obvious that things wouldn't go well for her because Bill Maher was ready to fire back.
It's an equally good message for the many Democratic members of Congress, many of whom are still there because they're in safe seats forever, who have never voted to certify a presidential election of a Republican candidate in this century. They didn't do it for Bush, Trump. No,
That's the weakest whataboutism I've ever heard.
It's not a whataboutism.
It's just speculation. By now, Bill Maher had had enough of Ms. Conway, and as a last stroke, he correctly chose to ignore her tirade. He did this despite the fact that Ms. Conway had provided no evidence or figures.
They either did or they didn't. They won't certify the election result on their January 6th. People need to do that. When the votes are cast,
people need
when
to
they're
do
all
it.
counted. Yes.
If this comedian said will shock you, you can pre-order it now, and it's out May 21st. Thank you.
However, he is presumed innocent under the Fifth Amendment until proven guilty. Therefore, it is impossible to predict with certainty how the elections on November 5th, 2024, will transpire. But one thing is for sure, Kellyanne Conway, Trump's favorite news reporter, and Bill Maher were thoroughly ridiculed.